Hi everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. We're looking at Martin's carburetor from his Super Easy that he sent me. I've gone through this already, and really there were only two things. The fuel inlet lever was set super high, so it could never seat the needle, so it was just leaking through, which fits with the description of what it was doing, which was flooding the hell out of that saw. And then the diaphragm on the fuel pump side here was a little bit weak, or stiff I should say, so I went ahead and replaced that. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to try testing that carburetor on one of my saws. This is my Firewood Super Easy. It's probably my biggest pain in the ass saw. If it sits any time at all, it is a miserable pain in the neck. I'm talking like, say, 2 weeks or more. Lots of cranking, and if it sits for, say, 3 months, I can figure I'm going to prime it to get it to run. So I've been meaning to take this thing apart and put a carb kit in it. Just haven't done it. I don't know what it is. I'll work on your guys' saws, and half the time I never get around to mine. So that is going to change. When I'm done testing Martin's carb, I'm going to rebuild this damn thing so that when I go out to cut with it, it's not a royal pain in my butt. Anyway, we'll just get this swapped out. These are pretty simple to remove if you have a little bit of patience. As you saw me remove the air filter bracket, that's got to come out. I loosened the fuel cap to relieve the pressure so that the fuel line would empty, as opposed to emptying the fuel tank all over in my carburetor chamber here. It's real common for these 5/16 headed carburetor bolts to be rounded off, so don't be surprised if you got one you got to put some vice grips on. If that's the case, try to find a new set of screws, because it's only going to get harder and harder. Once they're loose, you can usually roll them out by finger here. And this is another case where having larger hands like I've got, just ridiculous trying to fit in here, but there is just enough room. So these are probably one of the tightest saws that Homelight ever replaced, or ever made in terms of working on them. So you got to get the bolts to go forward enough that it can clear the throttle rod as you roll this thing up. Come on. Okay, I see that my gasket stayed put here. That's a bit of a problem. I mean, it's good normally, but Martin's is still on the carburetor, so I can't double gasket this. I'll probably destroy this one taking it off, but we'll see. Maybe I'll get lucky. I'm using just a regular razor blade carefully. One of these regular, not the tool one, just the straight razor can be really invaluable for getting stuff loose, or just cleaning up old gasket material. Yeah, that tore all a beat hell. Damn it. That was not the outcome I was hoping for there. But like I say, I needed to do this anyway, and this was good motivation. I always get a little nervous rebuilding the carb and sending it back to a guy, because you can bench test it all you want. You really don't know how that carburetor is going to perform until it gets on a saw. Now fortunately, all the ones I've done lately, all that's turned out well. So, alright, well, that'll be easy to tell the two carburetors apart. Real easy. Mine doesn't have a gasket on it. Martin's does. So, we'll load up the screws here. You want to put them in before trying to rotate them back into one of these saws, or you have a problem, because it's difficult, if not impossible. Okay. And if you're doing a fresh gasket that's not stuck to one side, this is especially challenging to get these to line up. You can figure that what you're going to end up doing is getting one side, and when you get it dropped into place, you get that screw started, and then On the next side, you're going to have to use some sort of a dental pick or something to kind of pull the gasket up. And well, that screw has run out an awful long ways. Goodness. Okay, well, I'm going to have to remember to reset those before I try to start it. Reinstalling the carb is where you really want those screws to be, the screw heads to be in decent shape, because coming off is always, they're easier to turn than when you're putting it back on. That's just Murphy's Law. You got to mess with the choke position on these as well, so that you can get in here and access this screw over by the muffler. The choke's got to be on roughly the half choke setting, so it'll clear both the butterfly and the arm on the carburetor itself. And then on the other side you need it fully closed. These are fine thread, so you get to do lots of little turns. And you don't want to reef these down too tight. They're just a nut that's set into that plastic or Bakelite, whatever it is, intake manifold. Why didn't like that? Of course this would happen on video. Something in that throttle linkage jammed. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, I do believe in Murphy's Law, and this is just yet more proof of it. I don't know what the hell is wrong with this bloody throttle shaft. I didn't think to. Oh wow. Okay. Wow. I haven't seen one seize up like that without some visible corrosion. So, I think our old PB Blaster here is going to do some lubricating. I do not want to see that happen again. Strange. Yeah, it's sticking. There's a... see if you guys can see this. There's a depression in the throttle plate that's supposed to line up perfectly on the throttle shaft, and I'm going to guess that this is rotated just a little bit. So, oh yeah, that was off quite a little bit. It would figure that it would be on the carburetor that I thought I was going to do a nice quick little video on. I really wanted to see was a test run here. This is another one, you don't need to reef on it. Okay, we'll go for take two. As my brother-in-law would say, why do it once when you can do it twice? The screws have got to go through both the idle screw grommet and then the high-low grommet down here, so you kind of got to mess with wiggling it around so that you get the screw heads to pop through without pushing the grommets completely out of the housing. That's what you don't want. I can assure you that trying to put them on after the carburetor is installed will result in nothing but cussing and broken grommets. So don't go that route. Don't even, just save yourself the hassle. It will not work. Alright, the throttle moves, so we're going to say that we're already closer than we were before. And we added 3 minutes of video that everybody hopefully went up and got a drink of something. Instead of watching me cuss and fuss with this thing. Alright, so we'll close the choke there. I'm actually holding the throttle open to get the best access around the throttle rod to this carburetor bolt. Alright, that is good and tight. Now the idle screw has been run way out, so it's not touching at all. Wait until I see it move some. There we go. That looks like a good starting point. We're going to start the low speed at 1.5 turns open, and the high speed will start at 1 full turn open, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to just slip the choke in place and not put a cotter pin in there. Alright, let's hope for the best. Good sign. Okay. Well, Martin, I'm going to say that this thing is good to go for you. I'll go through the other list of parts that you needed and put together the little package. Looks like your intake manifold is fine. I see absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. So, yeah, you'll need to retune this to your saw. The odds that they're going to accept the same tuning are slim to none. I run a completely different mix than you're probably running, so if anything, I'm going to guess that you're going to have to richen, so open the counterclockwise on the low speed up to half a turn. Start with where it's at and see what your saw does, and just go from there. So I will be in touch soon.